Live from the bridge at the Launchpad Studios in Huntington, New York, it's Sports Talk New York with your hosts, Mark Rosenman and AJ Carter. Sports Talk New York is sponsored in part by Cardboard Memories, Clearview, Long Island, the law firm of Decolator, Cohen, and DePrisco, the Phoenix Tube Company, PIMS Incorporated, fueling brand performance for 30 years, Prince Associates for all your insurance needs, and Soho Table Hockey. Here are your hosts, Mark and AJ.
And good evening to you, not Mark and AJ, just Mark. AJ is somewhere on his way to Florida. I don't know where he'd be right now. Hopefully he's listening on the 365 Sportscast iPhone app. So if you are there, AJ, safe travels. Get there soon. Continue your rehearsals for your masked dancer audition. We'd love to see that costume once he gets on the air there for sure. Right now, however, we start off our show like we do each and every week with the Cardboard Memories Major League Baseball Report. It's sponsored by Cardboard Memories, which is one of Long Island's most reputable memorabilia retail stores for over 29 years. The owner of Cardboard Memories, Scott Stamell, is known for his knowledge and savvy of authentic autographs, and he's been featured on HBO Real Sports with Brian Gumbel. Cardboard Memories possesses the honesty and integrity one would want and should need from a memorabilia source. Scott personally works with each customer to ensure they understand the authenticity of each item. Every piece of autographed memorabilia is purchased directly from the source. Cardboard Memories also specialize in custom framing, appraisals, and authentication, and they are always buying collections large and small. Let Cardboard Memories run your next charity fundraising auction. Call them to find out how they can help your organization at no cost. Cardboard Memories is located at 6401 Jericho Turnpike in Comac, New York. Visit them on the web at cardboardmemories.com or follow them on Facebook or Instagram. Luckily, we did not say Twitter, because if you were following them on Twitter, you'd probably not see it because there's just a whole bunch of stuff with Noah Syndergaard, Trevor Bauer, now Marcus Stroman. So let's start there. I mean, this has all the makings of a WWF SummerSlam for when the Dodgers come to Citi Field. John, what do you make of this whole Trevor Bauer, Twitterscape?
Well, first off, you're showing your age because it's WWE now. It hasn't been WWF in a while. Just figured I'd point that out. Listen, on the Mets side, clearly Syndergaard was joking, and Stroman puts out a little, raised eyebrow emoji, responding to a disparaging tweet about Bauer. Maybe not inaccurate, but still. But I'll tell you, and it might show that the Mets, I think, going forward, would be best to not engage Bauer, because he's out there, he's ready to respond to any sort of criticism, and it's not worth it. It's just not worth it to tangle with him. And on Bauer's side, I mean, this seems to be. It seems to me every day, every passing day that goes on, this seems to me like the embodiment of the 24-1 scenario that Steve Phillips had envisioned with Alex Rodriguez. This guy is very, he's got to be groomed. He's got to be taken care of. And listen, I think it proves also once and for all that he's more interested in being a social media brand than he is in being a baseball player. Now, listen, he's a very good baseball player. He's an excellent baseball player. But, I mean, to go on Twitter and just search for yourself and pick fights, don't you have anything better to do? I mean, I keep thinking that this is a bullet that the Mets dodged.
Oh, I 100% agree. Listen, there's no doubting the guy's talented, but, it's that thing, $1 million arm, 10-cent head. I mean, we've seen some of the things.
I don't even think I wouldn't even call him a 10-cent head, because he is a smart guy. He's very smart, and that's the frustrating thing about Trevor Bauer. He might be too smart for his own good. He's got this big social media following and a big brand, and he could have been the face of baseball if he did it right. But he's terrible at reading the room, and he just does it wrong. And with every misstep, you wonder if Bauer's going to be he better be the greatest teammate in the world in that Dodgers locker room, because if he's not and he can't perform, then his act's going to wear thin in that room.
Listen, I love Noah too. I love his intensity, but he's got to be quiet too, because there's no reason for this. Like, Trevor Bauer will make enough mistakes on his Twitter feed on his own. He doesn't need the Mets poking him. I get it. It's fun for some of these guys, but I would just let Trevor Bauer and pardon the pun, dig his own hole, because that was one of the things that Syndergaard put out there. But listen,
just don't engage at this point.
Right. Listen, you got to love what the Mets did too with the Walker signing. What does Walker do to the Mets rotation now?
I think he rounds it out very nicely. I love that signing. Listen, you look at his numbers, and he's a 500 pitcher. But there's nothing wrong with being a 500 pitcher when you're pitching out of the fourth, fifth spot in the rotation. And with the arm that Walker has, he could, this could be, I hate using the term low risk, high reward, but this is a signing that really could bring in a lot of benefit if he finds himself in the National League. His ERA historically has been close to a run lower in the National League than it has been in the American League. So I think this is somebody, and I was never under the impression, I never thought that the Mets needed to have 5 aces. I always thought that was an overblown myth. I don't think you can build your team like that. But when you have a guy like Walker out of the fourth spot, and with the depth that they've created for the fifth spot behind Peterson with Joey Lucchesi, Jordan Yamamoto, and some of the Barnes, Jacob Barnes, some of the other guys they have, this is as deep a rotation as the Mets have had in a few years, and Walker really rounds that out nicely.
Yeah, and depth will be a big part, a big thing to have this year, because you have a bunch of pitchers coming off the least amount of innings they've thrown. So there are going to be limits on everyone on their arms, because you don't want guys going out there blowing out their arms early in the season. So it should be interesting how the Mets use that bullpen depth. Rojas already mentioned they might even do openers, so it's going to be interesting. On the other side of town, kind of signing that kind of scratches my, has me scratching my head. I like it. I love the guy. But, why can't the Yankees move on from Brett Gardner?
That's a great question. I think he's so beloved in that room that, and the Yankees have had a weird offseason too, because they haven't really done a lot to knock your socks off. We've never seen the Yankees worry about the luxury tax. We've never seen the Yankees worry about payroll, but we're seeing that this year. And of course, we're seeing that with a lot of teams, and it doesn't make the Yankees any different. It just makes it more jarring because they're the Yankees. So, if you're looking at budget signings, when you can bring a guy back like Gardner at $4 million, then it makes sense for them. But I think the thing you wonder is, why would they continue to block the development of Clint Frazier? What does Clint Frazier have to do to get a real shot here? I mean, I know he's got defensive deficiencies, but as we saw last year at Citi Field, the guy can hit, and he can hit them a long way. I don't understand why he won't get a real shot at an outfield position.
Totally agree, and that's why it's even more puzzling. But I guess having Gardner around might be the way to ease Frazier in. But I think it's more than time. You got to put the guy out there and see what he could do. But on the other hand, Yankees outfield has been known to be injury plagued, so maybe it's just insurance. Maybe Gardner is not going to be playing that much, and it's just insurance to have him around. And like you said, I mean, he is beloved in that clubhouse, and maybe that's one of the reasons they bring him back. John, thanks so much. We appreciate it. John Coppinger heard here each and every week on Sports Talk New York. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side, Hall of Famer Eric Lindros. So keep it tuned right here.
Decolator Cohen and DeFrisco, LLP, is pleased to introduce their website, policeofficerstosue.com, as an educational and informative site designed to instruct members of the law enforcement community of their civil rights in line-of-duty accidents. Many law enforcement members are not aware of their rights to sue and fail to bring lawsuits within a specific time frame, thereby forfeiting their ability to seek rightful compensation against those parties that cause officers to be injured. PoliceofficersRightToSue.com provides successful past results of line-of-duty lawsuits. These examples range from officers being provided with inadequate equipment, RMP accidents, slip and falls, and station house mishaps. If any law enforcement member has a question regarding a potential lawsuit, they can contact DCD at policeofficersrightToSue.com or at 1-800-901-1LAW. That's policeofficersrightToSue.com or 1-800-901-1LAW.
Joining us now is a man who redefined the term power forward in the NHL. Over the course of his 13 seasons in the NHL with the Flyers, Rangers, Maple Leafs, and Stars, he scored 372 goals, 493 assists for 865 points. He is a six-time NHL All-Star, was recipient of both the Lester B. Pearson Award, which is the NHL Players Association Most Outstanding Player, and the Hart Trophy Most Valuable Player in 94-95. He made an immediate impact on the league with his offensive talent and imposing physical presence. His postseason career has been just as impressive, as his Celebrity Hockey Classic has raised over $1.5 million for charity. It is a thrill to welcome number 88 in your program, NHL Hall of Famer Eric Lindros, to Sports Talk New York. Welcome, Eric.
Hey, thanks.
Our pleasure.
How are you doing?
Doing good, and staying healthy. That's the most important thing these days, for sure.
Yeah.
So
it certainly is. We just got our kids back to school, and things have calmed down here a little bit in Toronto. We've gone to a different level, so things have a little bit of normalcy. So yeah, if we can all just buckle down for a little bit longer, hopefully we can get rid of this and move on.
Absolutely. So you are one of those rare generational athletes that are put under the microscope in their teenage years. You're being scouted heavily at such a young age, as in 88-89 with the St. Michael's Buzzers of the Metro Toronto Junior B Hockey League. At the age of 15, you scored 24 goals, 67 points in 37 games, leading the Buzzers to the Sutherland Cup as provincial champions. You're scouted as a 15-year-old. Were you aware of how talented you were, and how did you deal with having to live up to those expectations going forward at such an early age?
I didn't think of it in any other sense that I was just having fun, and I was playing with a really good group of guys. St. Mike's was a terrific year for me. I had great coaches, Scott McCollum, Tony Cella. That whole St. Mike's is a wonderful school, and we had some older guys that were looking out for some of the younger guys. Wes McCauley he's a referee in the league right now, and he was on that team as well. He was one of the younger ones. He's a year older than me, but we had a core of veterans that really looked out for everybody, and had a great team. Had a lot of fun. It was exciting to go to practice when that happens, and you're excited to go to the rink every day. Good things occur.
Yeah, the following year, you become eligible for the OHL draft as a 16-year-old. Your family asked the St. Sue Marie Greyhounds, who held the first selection, not to choose you, as they felt you weren't ready to live so far away from home. Greyhounds select you anyway. You spent early part of 89 with the Detroit CompuWare Ambassadors. The Sioux eventually trade your rights to the Oshawa Generals, where you record 36 points in 25 games upon joining the club. The Generals would go on to win the Memorial Cup that spring. But you look at the history of the Generals, a team that has sent close to 200 players to the NHL. You would go on to lead the OHL in scoring, 149 points. You win the Eddie Powers Memorial Trophy. You add the Red Tilson Trophy as the league's most valuable player. What was your time like with the Generals, and what did it mean to your development as a hockey player?
Well, Oshawa is a great place to play, and no offense to any other place, but when I was drafted by Sault Ste. Marie, you're 16 years old, and being away from home 12-hour car ride it's a long way. And the travel that Sault Ste. Marie was enduring was difficult. A lot of kids weren't getting their schooling in, and my parents were a big proponent of school. Unless the schooling was going well and you're getting your 80s and you were doing your job at school. If that wasn't happening, you weren't playing. So, anything can happen. You can break a leg. You can wreck your wrist. Any injury can happen. So you can be playing really, really well and having a wonderful time. But I wouldn't put all your eggs in one basket and make sure you had some schooling as a backup. So that was kind of the route that I took, and I was fortunate enough to land in Oshawa. It's not very far from a number of universities here in Toronto. So as soon as I was traded, I was back I was in university in the spring right after the Memorial Cup. So it all worked out really well. I had great guys to play with. Rick Carnaccia and Larry Marson were our lead coaches there. We just had some fun, and a terrific billet system. I lived with Baby Jean and Gil Hughes on Marigold Avenue in Oshawa. I'm still in touch with Baby Jean. We lost Gil a few years ago, but still speak to her all the time. And when you're living in a situation where you're coming home after road trips and there's food in the fridge, and Gil was a real hockey guy. He scouted, he coached a lot of the guys that played for the team that came up through the Oshawa system. So it was good to go home and talk hockey with somebody that really knew what was going on, and I benefited from it. I was certainly in a great position there.
You look at the history, as we mentioned, of the Generals. Close to 200 players go to the NHL. Your number 88 is one of 6 General numbers to be retired. What does that honor mean to you?
Oh, it's a tremendous honor. I mean, you think of all the players that have gone through Oshawa, and it's a fantastic honor. It doesn't. I mean, it resonates and it stays with me. It's fantastic. Oshawa is a special place. The fans really get behind you. There's huge rivalries with teams that are close. We have Peterborough that's very close. Belleville, Kingston. There are some really big rivalries that were there, and enjoyed it. The fans got into it. The place was packed. It was an exciting place to play. It was as close to the NHL as you could get.
You're selected to join Team Canada at the 1992 Winter Olympic Games. You're the only player on that squad who had not played an NHL game yet. You end up being the second leading scorer on that team en route to a silver medal. What was the Olympic experience like for you at such an early age?
It was a real thrill. I went out and moved out to Calgary. I lived with Sean Burke and his family. The Olympic program is different. You got older guys, you got pro guys, you got some guys up there that are 28, 30 years old. When we got to the Olympics just before, we brought in a couple of NHL players that were kind of in and out of the roster spots. They were looking for places to play and bumped up our team that way. It was a lot of practice. You'd go, you might get to Calgary and practice 2 weeks in a row without playing a game, and then all of a sudden you play 5 games in 6 nights overseas, and then pop back home. So it was a different experience. It was a lot of fun. You got to see the world, but a terrific group of guys to be around.
So we all know the backstory with Quebec taking you first overall in the 91 draft. 1 year later at the 92 NHL entry draft, the Nordiques worked out trades involving you with both the Flyers and the Rangers. The Flyers, believing they had the deal first, filed the complaint. NHL announced an independent arbiter who would be appointed. But take us through what those next 11 days until the decision came down were like for you. And I can only imagine if this happened today, what the refresh rate with Lindros Rangers, Lindros Flyers would have been for those 11 days.
I was in the dark just as I was waiting. I had no idea. I obviously wasn't there. I didn't know what trade, what deals were made. I wasn't in the room. I didn't know who went first or what have you. So I waited for, I think the arbitrator's name was Bertuzzi, and I waited in front of the TV. I think there was an announcement around 11 o'clock one morning. And once the announcement was made, I went down to St. Mike's and we did a little press conference, and that was it. There wasn't anything. I was sitting on the sidelines waiting to see where I was going to go. I had no insight into what team it would be.
Looking back at your career, knowing that you also eventually played for the Rangers, but have you ever thought what your career might have looked like had it been flipped? Had you started with the Rangers and then later on gone to the Flyers?
You know what? I did. And I think we would have had a really good team. No, they went on to win in '94 and had, they loaded up in '94 and really went for it. You think of those scenarios and who was involved in the trade and so on. But no, listen, I got the Philly 2.5 years. I think we had, we were a top team in the East. We were right there to go and represent in the Stanley Cup final. So, it didn't take long to turn things around. Bob Clark, to his credit, made a huge trade in acquiring Johnny Leclerc and Eric Desjardins were the two big names coming out of Montreal. Gilbert Dion was also part of it. We had to give up a big piece in Mark Recchi, but it was a huge trade for us, and all the pieces that we got on our end seemed to work.
Absolutely seemed to work because Leclerc becomes part of the Legion of Doom line with Mikkel Renberg. What were the elements of that line that complemented each other so well to make it one of the greatest lines in hockey?
The we all could skate. We all could. Being able to skate is a huge advantage, right? I mean, you can get to places. And the way that the game has changed, there was so much hooking, holding. There was pulling and grabbing, and it was just the way it was at that time. So to have power, to have size, to have weight, and then to combine that with Johnny had his scoring touch was fantastic. I don't think there was too many guys that had a touch like him. Michael Renberg could certainly see the ice, pass the puck real well, and he scored lots of goals to his credit as well. So, when it really got down to it, I think it goes back to just going to the rink, and I said it before, is having fun. We go to practice. We were enjoying practice. We were doing things at high tempo. We were doing and trying new things. We had some set plays. We had lots of little things that we had worked on. And we try them out during the games. And one thing led to another. It just started to click, and we got the momentum going.
You mentioned that run to the finals in '97. You guys handily defeat the Penguins, Sabres, and Rangers in 5 games apiece. Over the years, we've gotten the opportunity to speak to many players that have made it to a Stanley Cup final, and they all have mentioned that they learned something about themselves as a player during that run. What did you learn about yourself as a player during that Stanley Cup run?
Well, everything was going fairly well for us in the first 3. I learned more in the final. We didn't play. We started the series against Detroit at home, and they were 2 close games. They could have gone either way. And then we were just not prepared for Game 3 in Detroit, and got absolutely blown out. I look back at that and think, there's got to be a better way to go about it, to dig in further, to obviously things weren't working. We got to make some adjustments, and I look back at that as probably that pivotal game where the rest of my life I'll forever be a bit disappointed in myself not being able to have played better.
The injuries start taking a toll on your career. You suffer a series of concussions, the first in 1998. Given the new protocols put in place in the NHL when it comes to head injuries and what we know now, what do you think your career would look like had those protocols and the information been available back in the day when you played?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's gotten better. Is it perfect? I don't know. But I don't think we were aware of things. I don't think that I think that there was information out there for a long time, and it just was pushed aside and not taken seriously.
So that being said, with what we know now, and granted it's not perfect, if your kids came to you and said, "I want to be an NHL player," what would you say to them?
I think hockey. I'm all for it. Absolutely, I'm all for it. Am I for it for football? No, I don't think football is. I would be very hesitant to allow my kids to play football, but hockey, I think that I think they'd be relatively safe at hockey. There's a risk, right? You got big guys cruising at top speed, making plays in the blink of an eye. There's contact, and it's inevitable that there's going to be a concussion from time to time. It's how we deal with it and how quickly we can get people back to feeling right, to feeling on. They was started to take a lot more seriously, and guys were getting. It was never heard of before to take 2 weeks off, right? It was never, now it's pretty standard practice. If someone's not grayed out, or to get to that certain level of concussion, 2 weeks is nothing. It's maybe months. And no one blinks an eye now. Back then, it was just never. 10 days was never heard of, right? It was concussion's tricky because it's one of those things. It's not like a broken leg where you look at an X-ray and it's black and white. Concussion is something that it's within you. You may look physically fine, but you're not on. And when you're not on, and you're slow to react, and you're slow to think, and you're slow to put yourself in positions that you're going to be saved, you're much more vulnerable. So having that fast twitch and being able to think quickly and to prepare for things and to read and react the way that you used to, and to get back to that level is so important to maintaining your safety, not just performance-wise, but safety.
As scary as the concussions were, there was another injury during April 1st, 99 against the Predators. You suffered what was initially diagnosed as a rib injury, but it was much more than that. In fact, had it not been for Keith Jones, you and I might not even be doing this interview right now. Can you share with our audience what happened and what effect Keith had, on, getting it taken care of?
Well, we had some issues after a game with the Predators. I had some real rib pain, and I finished the game. Didn't feel great, addressed things with the training staff and whatnot, but went back to the hotel and I was going to go out with the guys and grab a burger, and I couldn't even sit through it. I just went right back to the hotel after about 3 minutes and told the guys I'd catch up with them later. And honestly, all I remember is just laying in the tub. It was just real painful. It was real painful. Jonesy found me and tried to contact the trainer, and then that failed, and called our head coach, Roger Nielsen, who came up and came into our room and called the ambulance. So no, thankful for Jonesy to help me out. But no, went in and right to the hospital, and they go through your ribs and release the pressure, and the blood starts to, you lose I lost about 55-60% of the blood that I had in my body. It was over 4 liters or 4.2 liters. So, it took a while to get things back and functioning, and I was real great. I was down in Nashville for about 3 weeks, and then another week back in Philly, cleaning things up, making sure that my lung was, I think it ended up being about 95% to what it was. So I got very lucky with that, and lucky that I was not on a plane heading back to Philly for a checkup and being up in the pressure, and I was at the hospital being treated in Nashville. So that was lucky.
So it took 10 years, but Ranger fans finally got their wish. August 20th, 2001, in exchange for Jan Hlavik, Kim Janssen, Pavel Brendel, and a 2003 third-round draft pick, you get to play for the New York Rangers, a team at that point that also had Theo Fleury, Pavel Bure, Peter Nedved, Mark Messier, and Brian Leetch. You don't disappoint. You average a little over a point a game, 37 goals, 36 assists with 73 points. That year is also your 7th and final All-Star selection. The following year, the Rangers also had Jaromir Jagr to the team as well. What was your fondest memory of playing for the New York Rangers?
The Rangers is a special. Madison Square is a special place. It really is. It's you're on the 5th floor of a building. It's probably the most recognized entertainment place in the world. There's something extremely special about being there. I don't have anything but great things to say about the Ranger organization as a whole. I didn't play very well in my 2nd and 3rd year there. Not at all. I was disappointed in myself in that. But in terms of highlights of that, I think the Rangers are lucky with their devoted fans. There's a real fan base there in New York that is excited to watch hockey and is knowledgeable and enjoys going down to the Garden to watch the games. It's a special group.
2016, you're selected to the NHL Hall of Fame. On January 18, 2018, the Flyers retire your 88 jersey in a pregame ceremony at the Wells Fargo Center. What do those 2 honors mean to you?
They're big. I look back at both of them and think about how lucky I have been to have the support from so many different areas. You think of, obviously your parents that have driven you all over the place, supported you, looked out for your best interests, you looked out for your health, been rocks for you. You look at coaches you've had, some you've played for that were at a professional level. You look at some that volunteered their time, and were, you end up being the beneficiary of their knowledge and being around them. Guys like John Fuda come to mind. There's so many people, some teachers that, they'd look out for me when I had a lot of travel and would be away from class and packaging up things so that I could keep my marks up. Kathy Love and Peter Thatcher were the teachers that really helped me through a lot of that. And, it's just, you're just thankful. You really are. You get to play with a lot of great players. Happy that I had a chance to play with Johnny and Rennie and many others. You just say thank you. It's one of those, you say thank you. You've played in front of some great fans, people that have just get all wound up for playoff time and enjoy the game and enjoy watching and make you feel like you can accomplish things. So I think both those occasions are just moments of time where you just sit back and say thank you. It's as plain as that.
It's hard to believe. It seems like it was just yesterday when you were coming into the league and all the hype. And I'll never forget this. There was the Score hockey card of you taking batting practice. What was that experience like? And what type of baseball player? And what type of baseball player were you?
I love baseball. So I played third base. I enjoyed playing third base. I played for a high school team. After we won the Memorial Cup in Oshawa, there's some baseball to be played, and we had a real good team. We had, long story short, Paul Beeston and Pat Gillick were running the Blue Jays, and Paul Beeston was a London, Ontario guy, and we're from there. My dad was transferred out of London when I was about 10, so. For one reason or another, I don't know, something got hooked up, and I got a chance to go down to Florida and to go to play with their kind of the preseason team, and learn a lot. Get in the cage, face some pitchers, and be part of some teaching. Where to hit the ball with runners in different positions. Things that you just. Coaching is just a way different level at that place, and it's something I was really fortunate to be part of. If just for like 4 or 5 days, it certainly was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it kind of puts Tom Glavine's talent in a little perspective, as he was a draft pick in both the NHL and baseball. So pretty interesting stuff there.
It's amazing, right? It's amazing, and the pace of baseball is so much different. I remember. We're down in Florida and in Dunedin, and it's hot. It is hot down there. And, you're going in at lunchtime into the clubhouse, and guys are eating warm soup. And I just couldn't believe it. It's just like the cultures are completely different. There's a big mix, and it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of humor in there. There's a lot of dry humor in baseball. And there's a lot of time for chit chat. The ball's hit. There might be some action for at most 15 seconds, and and you're on to the next play. So there's lots of time to do your little how you doing and a few jokes here and there. It was fun. I had a blast. I learned a lot.
Lastly, we mentioned your charitable work, which has been just as impressive as your playing career. On the day of your retirement, you donated $5 million to the London Health Science Center. This donation supports programs such as the Fowler Kennedy Sports Medicine Clinic. You've also raised over $1.5 million to your Eric Lindros Celebrity Classic. How can people get involved or donate to your charity hat trick?
Yeah, that'd be great. You can just you can go online and Eric Lindros Celebrity Classic and help out in that fashion. That would be terrific. We actually have a lot of people that come up for it from the States. We have people. There's some police officers out of Philadelphia. There's a couple guys out of 2 firemen out of New York. Or not this year because this year didn't happen with COVID, but the year prior we had a group out of San Jose that came up for it. You guys want to come, and it's a great time. We've got we probably have about 18, 20 teams, and we bring in 18, 20 former players, and we have a draft night the night before, and then kind of a get together, and then the next day you go and you play, and we rig the teams according to talent level. So we get the young guys against the young guys, and the older guys against the older guys. So we try and avoid any of the blow-ups. It's about having fun and raising a lot of money and getting that money to Easterfield, which really is a terrific organization that supports kids that a lot of them are in wheelchairs and just don't have the mobility. They need help getting around their homes. They need help renovating bathrooms. They need there's a camp that they go to for self-confidence, to make friends, to go and to learn to do woodworking skills, cooking, some athletics. It's just a fantastic organization, and Easterfields has been around for a long, long time, and I can honestly say that it's an honor to go and help them.
Well, this will now be my go-to. I've gone to Smash Fest up in Toronto, and love that.
Dominic
yeah.
Ward.
Yeah, so I've been up there for Dominic's charity, but you know what? I'd love to get the skates on again and get out there. So I might have to be up there for the next one for sure.
Well, you let us know, and we'll for sure make space. Absolutely.
All right, Eric, thanks so much for your time tonight. More importantly, thanks for 11 days of hope in 92, 3 years of giving it your all for the Rangers. I'd like to thank you for the 10 years of great hockey as well, minus those games where you tormented the Rangers, though.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I appreciate the time.
You got it. NHL Hall of Famer Eric Lindros. We'll be back with Russ Cohn and more hockey right after this.
Do you own a business? When is the last time you actually had a visit from or even spoke with your insurance representative? Did your current insurance agency sell to another firm or maybe merge, leaving you without the attention you deserve? Prince Associates is a provider of commercial insurance nationwide and represents some of the finest insurance carriers in the industry. Prince Associates has been representing commercial clients since 1965, and we continue to grow and offer our personal services in a competitive and ever-changing market. If you want back the insurance relationship you deserve, reach out to us, 516-822-6550. That's area code 516-822-6550. And ask for Leith or Craig, or find us on the web at www.princeins.com.
And welcome back to Sports Talk New York. Great half hour with Eric Lindros, number 88. And we're just going to continue to talk hockey because it's time for the NHL Report with Russ Cohn, which is sponsored by our friends over at Soho Table Hockey. What's table hockey, you say? Some of us might have grown up with rod hockey or bubble hockey or even air hockey tables. Soho Table Hockey has embraced the nostalgia of those old tabletop games. It's designed a whole new board for the future. Handcrafted with designer wood, state-of-the-art playing surface, unbendable rods, energy-absorbing walls. This is a table hockey game that players age 8 through 80 can enjoy. Even better, the exceptional quality and design allows the game to stand up to the intensity of tournaments, which is why Soho Table Hockey is their number one choice of championship players throughout North America. Visit SohoTableHockey.com to learn more. Start your order on a custom game. You can choose your wood, a center ice logo, and even the team matchups. Go ahead, drop the puck. You'll love Soho Table Hockey so much you won't be able to stop playing. All right, Russ, you are the foremost authority on outdoor games. I have to say, first of all, I was upset that I wasn't able to go there.
Yeah, same here.
That's number one. The setting was absolutely beautiful. I mean, the first period was worth everything the NHL put into it. However, tell me about what it means for the NHL to have to stop after the first period, reschedule that game to 12 midnight here on the East Coast where no one really saw it. And then even if they did, it was at night. Okay, and then you have tonight's game. Well, you'll still have a little daylight there because it'll be 4:30 there. But what maybe right. So what did that mean? I mean, having that beautiful setting and only getting one period out of it.
Well, okay, so a few things. I always tell people, and we could have gone, right? We could have been credentialed. I just didn't choose to go during a pandemic, but I thought about it.
Me too.
But I passed. Yeah, I passed. But you have to remember, NBC wanted it at that time. I'm sure they're the ones who picked that time because historically, if you look at that time, like as an example, the one in Washington was a 1 o'clock start and then got pushed to 3 because of the sun. I'd shown a picture on Twitter with the sunshade. So same kind of thing. Sun was melting the ice. This was worse because it's, Nevada, California. Now in Pittsburgh, and I think it was 2011, one of those years, theirs was scheduled for 1, but they had the rain. So then that got pushed back until 8 o'clock at night. So it wasn't unprecedented. It was just Twitter would like you to believe that everything that's happening now is the worst thing that's ever happened. So it wasn't the worst thing because you're right. They got in a good first period. And actually, it's funny because the pace for the first 5 minutes was really good, but then, the ice just couldn't hold up. So they had to fill some time because they were hoping that they could get it going. They couldn't. But from an NBC's perspective, they had people watching from the English Premier League at least for an hour because of the pre and that and a little bit of the post hoping it would happen on NBC. So I don't think it was a total loss from Lauren. And then, later after that, it gets sketchy. I'm sure some people on the West Coast watched. I woke up and watched, but I'm also covering it. So, I realize I'm a weirdo that way. So there's definitely a little bit of a loss that way. Now, smart to push today's back, but they lose NBC as a result. So it's on NBCSN, and it still could get pushed back a little more, even because of some of the meltage that happened today. We don't know if it'll start exactly on time. To be honest, none of them start on time. People act as if the NHL has screwed up here in some way, and they could figure it out. Having outdoor hockey is one of the hardest things to figure out. It's not simply about just the chillers. Like somebody, tweeted or texted me and said, "Well, why can't the chillers override the sun?" And I'm like, because it's the sun. It's science. It can't happen, and it's closer to the earth there. If you really, I was talking to a scientist because I live with one, and that was a part of the problem too, right? So when you put those things together, it's like, it's just miraculous that we get these games, and yet it's miraculous to me that people can complain about them. But you watch tonight, they're going to watch it, right? Because they're fun to watch.
And see, you're nicer than I am. You actually explained it, but I would say, listen, how come we can't heat an electrical grid in Texas? It's like, why can't the chillers handle it? Really?
Right.
Okay. All right. Let's turn our attention. You know what? I know we've really paid attention to the Rangers and their handling of the youth. But I think because of the Islanders' record, a lot of, Lou Lamoriello's history with youth and even Trotz to some degree, his history with youth goes under the radar. We talk about guys that haven't really, improved with the Rangers, and which I think is a misnomer completely, because what have they improved from? Most of them are in their first and second years in the NHL. Whereas with the Islanders, you have guys that really haven't developed where you think they should be at this point in their career. And it goes way back even to Nino Niederreiter. I mean, the Islanders have not really been known, other than Barzal, to really develop young talent, maybe some of their defensemen. But do you believe that the Islanders are doing best they can as far as young development?
I think it's not the best they can. I think they go with the overripe method, but also that's because of Lou. It's not necessarily the way they used to do it, and also because Trotz has trouble trusting. I think there is a combination there with that. Devin Taves certainly developed. We saw him score a nice goal yesterday in the outdoor game. Yeah. So they can develop some. Defensemen have definitely. Pulock has definitely developed, and he's as good as we all thought he could be. But I think with Dobson, sure, I think they've been holding him back to some degree, but again, that is probably just because of the Trotz system. He certainly looks good when he gets enough playing time. I'll say that. When you look at some,
how about Bellows?
Yeah, Bellows is an interesting one. Bellows, he was always going to take some time. I think people got overly excited because he was a strong kid who skated fairly well, but now that the league's even faster, he had to catch up to that. But he's still a power forward, and power forwards take time. There's very few power forwards that ever are ready. Like Alex Tuck is even ahead of the curve on that, and I don't even think he's where he's going to be in another year or two. So I think with power forwards, it's really hard. Hosang never was given a chance, so we'll scratch him from the list. But I think they've done okay. I want to say, if we were going to gauge them against the rest of the league, they're like middle of the pack. There's definitely worse than the Islanders.
Name that gets bandied about, lastly, in this segment with you, Eichel. Does he get traded this year? And if so, what teams do you see the target for?
I mean, sure. Would the Rangers be a target? Absolutely. I don't think he's getting traded. I honestly think that people are taking some gripes probably way too far. They don't even know where they stand with Taylor Hall yet. What if Taylor Hall decides to stay? Are they really getting rid of Jack Eichel? No. So I think you have to wait for some dominoes to fall there. But also, who the hell can take on a $10 million cap hit, and who wants to have all of a sudden your top, let's say, 3 players be right around 10, 10, and 8, which the Rangers would be? Do you really want that? And then you have to worry about signing Zibanejad, which probably you don't sign him. You probably traded him. So you have to look at all of that and say, I know the Leafs are doing it, but is it working for the Leafs?
Right.
We'll know in another year or so. I don't think you should ever have 3 players take up, 30% or more of your cap. I don't think it's healthy.
No, because you're going to develop a player and not have any cap room to re-sign him when he's
right
at his prime. Agreed. All right, Russ, thanks so much. Russ Cohn, her here each and every week on Sports Talk New York. Quick break on the other side. We'll talk hoops with Chaim Tauber, so keep it tuned right here.
If you're a company looking to increase your visibility, to make sure your promotional materials get packaged in the most attractive way and distributed most efficiently, then you need to call in PIMS. Whether you're launching a new product and need to assemble customized influencer packages or looking for a more efficient way to manage your inventory and collateral, PIMS involvement helps maximize the impact of your brand's performance. For more than 30 years, PIMS has been helping companies get their message out to the right people, offering personalized distribution services and full-scale inventory management solutions. PIMS works its magic on 3 continents, backed by 350,000 square feet of warehouse space. If you're looking for experience, PIMS is it. They've shipped more than 13 million packages and elevated more than 8,000 brands. Want to know more? Check them out on the web, PIMSinc.com. That's PIMSINC.com, and read testimonials from their satisfied clients. That's PIMS, the first name in marketing support.
And welcome back to Sports Talk New York. If you're just tuning in, you missed a great half hour with Eric Lindros. We spoke with John Carpenter, our baseball beat reporter, about the ongoing Trevor Bauer, Noah Syndergaard Twitter feud. We spoke to Russ Cohn talking about the NHL outdoor game. And now we're going to turn our attention to basketball. We bring in Chaim Tauber. How you doing, Chaim?
Not bad, guys. How you doing?
Doing good. All right. Tell me everything we need to know about this NBA All-Star game. There's so much controversy going on, even the way the selection goes. Tell us your thoughts on this NBA. Could be a fiasco, actually.
I mean, honestly, I'm not really sure how else to rebrand it other than the NBA has an opportunity to make money, both on All-Star game jersey sales and, being able to have an event. The Atlanta mayor is literally saying, please don't come. Don't do this. This is a bad idea. Players have already voiced their displeasure, and they don't really want to play. When LeBron James comes out and says, hey, I don't really want to do this, but I guess I will, that's not an all-star game that I'm desperate to see, honestly. There is very little upside to doing this. But, onward. The show must go on.
It's kind of interesting that, we're taking all these precautions to try and get the season through, get it to the goal line, be as safe as possible. I think you're right. Atlanta doesn't want it. We look for these made-for-TV events. But listen, the NHL just did it with the outdoor game in Tahoe as well. You're sending teams where you wanted them only to play here on the East Coast. You sent Boston and Philadelphia to Tahoe as well. So we can't really just, point our finger at the NBA. But bottom line is, how many people are clamoring, like you said, for an NBA All-Star game right now?
Right. No, I mean, Mark, we're not saying doomed. We're saying unwise. That this is something that it's not damned to fail. The NBA has been, up to a recent rash of outbreak, they've done pretty well so far. It's something that they could pull off, but just the risk-reward doesn't make sense. Why? It's just not worth it.
Agreed. All right, let's turn our attention a little bit to the New York Knicks before we let you go. Really a revelation. And it almost, listen, AJ loved, the coach, and I was, this is the first time around. And I know you were a big proponent of him as well. If you think the first couple of times around when he was available and the Knicks would have gotten him, do you think it would have made a difference in the franchise at this point?
It's tough to say because Tom Thibodeau wasn't the entire change. There's an entire front office change. So Scott Perry and Worldwide West, they all came in together with Tom Thibodeau and completely kind of redefined what they were doing. If left with the same general manager, the same upper management, and just bringing in Tom Thibodeau, I don't know how much of a difference it would have made. We've had good coaches here before. Mike Woodson is a very good coach. Mike Dunleavy's had success everywhere. If the front office doesn't change, I'm not sure how much a coach alone would have done. but the impact of this personnel change couldn't be more obvious in the way that they're playing.
Unbelievable. They've totally bought into his system, and bringing back Derrick Rose, he's bought into it as well, and they're actually fun to watch. It's really been a pleasure to watch the Knicks. Thanks so much. We'll speak to you next week. I am Talbot here each and every week with the NBA Report. We'll take a quick break. On the other side, we'll round it out with the NFL Report with Jay Retcher, so keep it tuned right here.
The Phoenix Tube Company Incorporated is among the country's leading manufacturers of structural ornamental stainless steel tubing, rectangles, squares, and processed flat bars. The company takes pride in its everyday commitment to quality and customer service. The philosophy of the company has been and continues to be to support the growth of the stainless tube market through distribution and service centers throughout the country. Ornamental and structural stainless steel tubing is used for a wide variety of aesthetic and mechanical products where superior finish and corrosion resistance are required. Some products manufactured include tubing for mirror bracket arms, boat rails and ladders, washroom grab bars, swimming pool rail products, medical equipment, automotive step bars and trimming, as well as structural framing for food processing equipment. For a quote or for more information on how the Phoenix Tube Company can meet your ornamental and structural stainless steel tubing needs, visit them on the web at phoenixtube.com or call them toll-free at 1-800-526-2124.
And welcome back to Sports Talk New York. Just want to remind you, we have an incredible night on tap with the 365 Sportscast Network. Right after us, BT Talks Baseball. If you're a Seinfeld fan, you want to keep it tuned right here for that show for sure. I'm not going to tell you any more. Just going to tease you a little bit with that. Then you got Howie Carpin right after that with Carpin's Corner, and Rich Catino with Mets Clubhouse Confidential rounding out the evening. But it's time now for the Capco NFL Report with Jay Retcher. Even though it's winter, spring will be here before you know it. The guys are already down there in spring training. It's now time to get your windows and doors ready to let that fresh air in and the bugs out with a Clearview retractable screen. The Clearview retractable screen system comes with standard lifetime warranty and the patented speed reducer so it will not snap back. You get the luxury of a screen door and a sleek, low-profile design without the hassle of a bulky storm door or sliding screen door. Call 631-440-1100 for a free estimate. That's 631-440-1100, or visit them on the web at clearviewlongisland.com. All right, Jay, before we talk about the quarterback carousel, I know you are still reveling in the whole Super Bowl. You had Brady throwing the trophy around like it was a dime store trophy. You had a little skit about him on Saturday Night Live, the update last week. Has the allure of winning the Super Bowl, faded in Tampa? Are you guys still just reveling in that Super Bowl win?
Oh, no, it hasn't faded at all. Everybody's still jacked up. And, like you said, with spring training right around the corner, everybody's excited about the Rays. And, Lightning have hit a little bit of a skid. But, yeah, everybody's still on cloud nine for the Buccaneers victory. And I'm sure it's going to be like that for a very, very long time.
All right, so right now we're in the midst of this whole quarterback carousel. What other quarterbacks do you see on the move? Do you see the Jets, trading their number 2 pick? Do you see the Jets trading Darnold? Do you see the Jets as a player for one of the quarterbacks that are supposedly on the trading block?
Yeah, I would love to see the Jets go after Deshaun Watson. I think you have to take a risk. And people talk about not having the right guy or picking the wrong quarterback's going to sit you back for however long. I've seen Deshaun Watson play in person a couple times now. And I remember when Dabo Swinney said years ago, he's the Michael Jordan. And everybody said, really? Yeah. I don't know if I'd go that far, but that guy, man, he's a great player. He's an even more unbelievable person off the field. If I'm the Jets, I'm doing whatever it takes. I don't care if it's the second pick or if it's Darnold or whatever. I'm trying to get Deshaun Watson because he's going to change your franchise. And he's going to have that similar effect that Tom Brady we see with LeBron James, where there's going to be guys that are going to want to come to the Jets. Yeah, let me say that again. There's going to be guys that want to come to the Jets and play for the Jets if Deshaun Watson is here and be a part of something special. I don't know if that's what the Jets are going to do with that second pick, or I think they'll stay there. And if they don't make the move for Watson, I do think they'll take whether it's a Wilson or it's a Justin Fields, and then they'll go from there and try to see if they can have a little quarterback competition with that new quarterback and Sam Darnold. But I don't know if that's the right thing. You saw it with the Cardinals with Josh Rosen and Kyler Murray. Did they really get the kind of the prize that they wanted for trading Josh Rosen? I don't think so. So if I'm the Jets, if I'm Jets and I'm going to draft a quarterback, I'm going to try to trade Sam Darnold before that, because I don't know if you're going to get the return. You have no leverage.
Listen, Deshaun screams New York. He would just be the star of that team. And I think he's a type of guy that would elevate his game, even though he's so good. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a good community guy. Everything you hear about this guy, he's just the real deal. It's just a no-brainer. What do you think it would take from the Jets' standpoint to be able to get a talent like that?
They got a couple of draft picks, and that's going to be the key. And what we've heard, and I know John McLean down there in Houston, one of their writers, he's just been the guy that's been all over the story. And he's talking about how teams are been told, hey, we need draft picks, we need defensive starters. I don't know if they're going to get that king's ransom, but they have to move Deshaun Watson. They have to. I mean, what's the sense in bringing him back? You don't have any draft capital right now whatsoever. What are you going to go 1-15 with that guy? You're going to possibly get him hurt with the lack of talent on that offensive line. You have to trade him. And I think the Jets, they mix and match, maybe give some young talent on the defensive side of the ball. Do you want to throw, certain players in there that may be part of your future? I think it's a lot easier to go out and get a couple of guys on defense rather than a franchise quarterback. I mean, hell, when's the last time the Jets really had a quarterback when people looked at it and said, man, it would be great to have that guy, and it ain't Mark Sanchez. It goes farther back than that. Right. So if I'm the Jets, you're right, man. It's either Pennington or Chad Pennington or Vinny Testaverde. Right. I mean, this would be their greatest quarterback since Namath, without question. Exactly. That's a great point. Yep. Boomer Esiason fans might have a problem with that too. Greatest quarterback since Joe Namath. That's I like it. All right, Jay. You still can celebrate until the draft. It's still the former NFL season. So just enjoy it while you can. Stay safe, my friend. Thanks, partner. You got it. Jay Retcher, heard here each and every week with the Capco NFL Report. You know what? You need to keep it tuned right here because BT talks baseball. Let's see if we can get Brett in the studio. Brett, he's I don't know where he went. Usually he's in here by this time, but I definitely tell you to please keep it tuned right here. Going to be a great show. As always, he always has great authors on. He also has the travel. Every single week I listen to him on the way home from the studio, and I want to go to one of the locales that he's talking about and all the cool stuff to do in those towns. And then after that, Howie Carpin, good friend of mine, co-author as well of several of my books, Carpin's Corner. And then Rich Catino, ESPN's beat reporter for the Mets with his Mets Clubhouse Confidential. He's got lots of audio on tap, lots of Mets stuff. He's been on every one of the Zooms with me this week, and I know he's going to be playing a lot of the answers from a lot of the players you want to hear from. So keep it tuned right here tonight on 365sportscast.com or on the iPhone, the Android, or the Alexa apps. And keep it tuned here all week. Lots of new shows coming, so we really appreciate you listening and hang in there. Have a great Sunday night, everybody.